In today's video, we're going to talk about how anybody with a professional background, whether it's in corporate or in entrepreneurship, maybe you have a street MBA like I do, anybody who has extensive business experience can make money through the power of consulting. Hi, my name is Laura Meyer, and I am a growth strategist to some of the country's top influencers. I also help smart experts build and sell their first consulting offer. If this sounds like something that you don't want to miss out on moving forward, make sure that you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any videos in the future. So the way that I became a consultant was kind of by accident. And as many of you may have fallen into a career or fallen into a particular area of expertise just through being interested in it, that's exactly what happened for me. I was a lifelong entrepreneur and still am. And at a certain point in my life where I didn't necessarily know what I was going to do next, I had closed a business that was no longer exactly what it is that I wanted to do. And I was not sure how to move forward from that place. A couple of my friends who are CEOs of pretty big companies like Painting with a Twist and Massage Heights had messaged me and said, "Laura, I think you are so good at marketing. I've been watching you over the years with various businesses that you've been running. And I was wondering if you would help me out with some of the problems that I'm experiencing in my business." And it didn't take me long to fall in love with consulting. What I love about consulting is it's always new, it's always interesting, there's always a new problem or challenge to solve, which makes it intellectually stimulating. And at the same time, as you get better and better at solving problems in a business, you can go in more confident, you can go in commanding a higher price because of the experience that you bring to the table. As the consultant, you have the ability to help your clients flatten their learning curve and help them get a result in a way that's more efficient, faster, easier, less expensively than them just trying to figure it out on their own. And the better you get at client results, the more likely you are to be successful as a consultant. So how do you make money as a consultant? The first thing that you need to know is who you help and how you help them. There's a lot of different consultants out there. So for example, there might be IT consulting. There might be the other types of consulting like business process consulting or other types of situations that people may find themselves in when running a business like HR consulting. For me personally, I love growth consulting, and not just growth consulting, but growth consulting for a very particular type of buyer of consulting services. One that I have found is vastly underserved. The reason is because there's all of these big six firms like Accenture or Pricewaterhouse that go into large multi-billion-dollar companies and help them grow their business. But who's helping the average $10 million business owner or $5 million business owner? They still have a robust operation that needs help, but there's very few options in terms of getting that kind of help. They could join a mastermind or group coaching program, but for many of them, they feel like they've just kind of outgrown that type of group approach to problem solving, and they're really looking for somebody to come into their business and go with them shoulder to shoulder as a thought partner and help them get a new result that they couldn't get on their own. So the second way to make money with the power of consulting is to know exactly what it is that's keeping your ideal client up at night. Every single person in the world, particularly entrepreneurs, have what I would call their 2 a.m. problem. It is the problem that when they're stressed out and they can't sleep, they're laying in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how they're going to figure out the solution. And for many experienced entrepreneurs, what they're trying to figure out is not how they're going to figure out the solution, but who in their world knows the answer to the problem. For many of them, they've outgrown trying to figure out everything on their own. They know that it's a matter of finding the right person, not them having to figure out the how that's going to get them to the next level of revenue. Once they hit $1 million or $2 million in revenue, in a lot of ways, they've outgrown a lot of the positions in their company. So they're used to looking for a very particular person that's going to help them solve their problem. And for many of them, they may be a subject matter expert in their area of expertise, but not necessarily in sales or marketing or in revenue growth. They rely on other people, either in their organization or outside of it, to provide them with the right solution so that they can fuel fuel their business for future growth. So it's helpful to remember that consulting is very problem-based. And your job is, as the consultant, is to communicate the difference in value between them trying to figure it out on their own and the amount of time and expense that would take, and the amount of mistakes and having to recover from mistakes and all of the frustrations that they may experience just not having the right person on their team helping them come up with the solutions versus hiring you. And for many established business owners, hiring you to the degree to which you are confident and can communicate those results in advance is a much better value proposition than all of the wasted time and resources that it would take for them to go about it on their own. The third is to make sure that your ideal client sees you as that go-to person. Sometimes people ask me, should I niche or should I not niche? And there's pros and cons to both. I would recommend that if you're not sure, try with a single message for a very particular type of business owner. What I like to recommend to my students in my incubator is to go after, in particular, the type of business owner that might be around 2 to 20 million in revenue. They're not at a point yet where they would have a board and, it would have this long sales cycle and feel overly corporate with lots of paperwork, but they're big enough to need consulting services. And this is what I would call the sweet spot client. They're vastly underserved. There's very few solutions for them, and they have the means to be able to invest in consulting services. They're also very interested in growing their company. For many of them, they have a lot of payroll and overhead, and they want to make sure that they are always outgrowing the revenue in order to be able to afford those expenses comfortably. So they're very interested in growing their company. They can make decisions quick, usually on a single sales call, and to the degree to which you can communicate that you are the person that can help them, they're very quick to say, yes, that sounds great. When can we get started? At the end of the day, when the client sees you as that go-to person, they're going to make a quick decision. And then it's your job to get them a win, ideally in 30 days or less. Even if it's a small win, a small incremental improvement from what they're currently doing, what that's going to do is build trust so that your retainer is like no big deal. And it's also a non-negotiable if the economy gets weird or they're thinking about making cuts on their team. They see you as the reason why their business is growing and start to develop a relationship with you that is based on mutual trust so that you can just enjoy, first of all, the process of being a consultant. It's very rewarding to be that person to an entrepreneur, to a business owner, and then also so that you can make more and more money as a consultant so that you can command premium prices, not just so that you can, make more money and that's the only reason why, of course. That's always very helpful, but also because you'll get better and better clients that way, and your projects will become more and more rewarding. And for those of you who thrive on growth and intellectual stimulation, this is a really important benefit that I personally love about consulting. And the more that you get your clients' results, the more referred you will become. Why? Because these business owners hang out together. They hang out in CEO groups. They hang out in different types of networking environments. And when they say, oh my gosh, my business just grew from 2 to 4 million. And their friend says, wow, that's amazing. What did you do? And they said, well, I hired this great consultant who was very focused on revenue. I know a lot of consultants come in and they, have us doing all this busy work and it never really feels like it's moving the needle. But with this consultant, they were able to create an environment where we got a fast result, and then that momentum kept building on one another, and before I knew it, my business doubled. Now, that is an amazing story that you want out there about your consulting services, and I can promise you that if you help make that happen with just a few clients, it will create this flywheel effect where you'll get more and more referrals, and before you know it, you'll be full with a waiting list. So if you loved this training and you've been thinking about getting started in consulting and you're just not sure how, or you're curious, well, exactly what do you charge, Laura? And what does that look like? And what's in those packages? I have a free training that I think you'll love. You can find it right here. And if you just click on the link or enter this into your browser while you're listening, what you'll find is a training where I go through the history of my packages, what I've charged, in what order, what I started, what I recommend, and what I don't recommend, just based on my experience. And this free training is just a quick video. video, but it will save you years of guesswork when it comes to pricing your consulting services. So make sure that you don't miss any future videos on how to become an in-demand consultant. Make sure to subscribe so that you're notified the next time that we have a video go live, and I look forward to seeing you next time on becoming an in-demand consultant.